Hi, this is Michael Adams for CEORoaster. I'm at the PDAC 2017 in Toronto, and I think it's a good tradition to have Chris Dupont here for the last 3, 4, 5 years, giving us an update about Explor resources. Chris, thanks for taking the time again to talk to me. As everybody knows, and we did a couple of video interviews that I will link around this video, you have the huge flagship project in Timmins, the Timmins Porcupine West. You can give us an update there. You have a joint venture partner, but the main part is I would like to get a little bit more information about the other projects. But give us an update about the situation at Timmins Porcupine West first.
Okay, our Timmins Porcupine West project is advancing quite nicely with our joint venture partners. They're doing all the work and we're just sitting back riding along, basically. On that project, it's 2,000 meters of strike length. There's a synclinal structure, and our model says there's a potential for 20 to 30 million ounces of gold. To date, we have over 1 million ounces that we've found. And Teck, for instance, has done a whole pile of work considering studying the geology. They've also reviewed all the samples, and they've done extensive downhole geophysics as well as surface airborne by helicopter geophysics on the property.
Okay, and all what they found, does that still support your thesis, which I remember that it's kind of the Hollinger McIntyre model?
Yes, it does. It still supports the model, because the Hollinger McIntyre model said there was a synclinal type structure. We have the synclinal type structure, as evident by the geophysics. We have the porphyry, and the porphyry is the heat engine. The heat engine caused the fracturing in the rocks around it, and these are structural traps, whereas the gold came from the Porcupine Destor fault and was in place on the splay faults into these structural traps.
Okay. No, and as you indicated, right, all the work right now is done by the joint venture partner. So this gives you some more time to focus on your various other projects. So give us an overview and considering the flagship project, what are the merits of some of the other projects you have?
Well, what we've done, we've concentrated on our project in Ogden, our Ogden Gold project we acquired last year. We've done some drilling. We've done enough to test the geology. We found out we have the right kind of geology. We have a porphyry in the area. We also have some gold. So we drilled 6 holes that were spaced about 1 kilometer apart, and on 2 of the holes we hit gold, 2 grams per ton over a few meters, which is very, very interesting because 1, it tells us we're in the right environment, 2, the right geology, and we have gold. So that was confirmation. The next step is to go in there and do more detailed geophysics and more drilling. So that's what we plan in the future to do, go into that area and do that kind of work. Another project that we concentrated on is our Kidd Creek project. Right. On that one, just north of the mine, we have a claim. And on this claim, we found that there was some potential for base metal deposits. In fact, the potential, we've hit X-halite there, and we hit up to 1.5% zinc in the X-halite. Typically, the X-halite, if you look that up on the internet or use a Google search, you'll find the X-halite is the crust on top of a base metal deposit. Any major base metal deposits in the world have X-halite there. And we have that. Now, that's the first time we hit X-halite in our 10 years of exploring in the Kidd Creek area.
Okay.
Another claim we acquired there has the same geophysical signature of around 1964 when they discovered the Kidd mine itself. Now, that one was held privately by a private family, and we just acquired it from the estate about 6 months ago. And on that particular ground, we're drilling there too. And there we've hit the right kind of geology, so we know that we're close to the vent.
Okay. And you have, besides the projects you just mentioned, you have various other projects, but your focus right now is the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. Can you say that?
Yeah. Yes, well, the focus is in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt because the Abitibi in itself is 800 kilometers long, 300 kilometers wide, has produced over 180 million ounces of gold and over 450 million tons of copper zinc ore. So we know it's a very rich environment for gold exploration.
For the Germans that are not so familiar, the Abitibi stretches through Ontario and Quebec.
The Abitibi Greenstone Belt goes across the border of Ontario and Quebec. So 33% of the Abitibi is in Ontario and about 66% is in Quebec.
Okay.
So that's why we have a lot of projects in Quebec as well as in Ontario.
Right.
So we have 14 of our projects are located in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt in Ontario and Quebec.
Okay, and let's talk about the long-term plans. So are there any plans to go for one of the projects or more to go into production, or is your plan to develop it and kind of the same like you did, like find a joint venture partner?
No, my plan is not to develop any projects. Our plan is to bring the project to the point where a major is interested in it, and then we'll talk to the major and strike a deal that'll be beneficial to the shareholders, and the major will take the ball and run with it. That's the plan.
No, and that's a good plan, and it's always good to rely on the expertise of the majors, right? But having said that, you have a very good exploration team too. So give us some more insight about the exploration team, the geos you are working with.
Well, our exploration team is excellent. Like we've got one of our geologists has over 30 years of experience, 40 years of experience. Another one has over 40 years of experience. Our geologist in Ontario in the Abitibi, he's worked in the Abitibi for over 30 or 40 years basically. So he has the expertise, the gold expertise, to understand the core and the rock. Now in New Brunswick, our geologist there has over 40 years and one of the premier experts on base metals and sulfide deposits in New Brunswick. Now in New Brunswick, what you have to look at, they had the Brunswick Mining and Smelting, and that produced over 130 million tons of base metal ore. Ernest Brooks, which is our senior geologist in New Brunswick, has worked in New Brunswick for over 40 years. So he's been connected with a lot of the major deposits in New Brunswick.
Okay. So to sum up, yeah, for the rest of 2017 and beyond, I think the investor can expect some really good news release, some good developments. And yeah, how do you feel about acquiring more projects somewhere in Canada?
No, I wouldn't acquire any other projects anyplace else in Canada. Like we're going to stick with gold and base metals and nickel, and we're going to concentrate in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt in Ontario and Quebec, and also the base metals in New Brunswick. Okay. So we're going to keep there, and we're going to try and, if we acquire anything, it'll be additions to the properties we already own, and they'll be in the shadow of the head frame of an existing mine.
Which makes sense because you know what you have, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, great update. Thank you very much, Chris, like always.